Welcome to part 2 of the Life Cheat Code series. In part 1, we cracked the codes for time, energy, emotions, and boundaries. Basically, everything that keeps us from screaming into the void on a Tuesday. If you missed it, watch part 1 by clicking the link. Now, we're leveling up. From money, purpose to health, focus, digital clutter, and mind-bending mindset shifts, this is where it gets personal, practical, and a little existential. Let's dive in. Chapter 6: Money and Decisions. Money isn't just math, it's meaning. Every dollar is a decision. Most people think money is just numbers. Budgeting, earning, saving. But scratch beneath the surface and you will see. Money is emotional. It's tied to safety, identity, self-worth, even love. How we spend and how we save tells a story about what we value, what we fear, and what we believe we deserve. The goal isn't just to have more, it's to make decisions from a place of clarity, not chaos. This chapter isn't about financial advice. It's about something deeper, reclaiming your power through conscious choice. Because every decision you make with money is really a decision about who you're becoming. Cheat code number 51. Full price first rule. Sales are sneaky. They whisper urgency. They trick your brain into thinking you're saving money, when in reality, you're spending it on things you didn't even want. Ask yourself, would I want this at full price? That question cuts through the noise. Because when we buy out of fear of missing out, we often end up with more clutter and less clarity. It's not about being stingy, it's about making aligned decisions. One good question can keep your wallet, your space, and your mind lighter. But resisting a deal that seems too good to pass up takes more than logic. It takes a shift in how you define value. So how do you stop being tricked by price tags and start choosing what actually matters? A discounted distraction is still a distraction. But if you want financial clarity, when should you spend and when should you pause? Cheat code number 52. Save first secret. Most people treat saving like leftovers, something they will do if there's anything left after spending. But there's a reason that doesn't work. Because spending is emotional, impulsive, and often unconscious. Saving? That has to be intentional. If you don't decide before the money lands, the money disappears. Reversing that order, saving first, then spending, builds momentum. It tells your future self, I have got you. And something interesting happens. Your spending becomes more mindful, more precise. You begin to feel the difference between real need and short-term craving. But how do you build that habit if your income feels tight or your willpower is low? Saving isn't a leftover, it's a decision you make at the start, not the end. So if saving first creates stability, what does spending smartly unlock? Cheat code number 53. Options over happiness. We have all heard the saying, money can't buy happiness. But here's what it can buy: freedom. Options. Breathing room. The ability to say no to what drains you and yes to what energizes you. That's the real value of money. It's a tool for choice. Yet many people confuse money with meaning. They chase luxury when what they truly need is leverage. They believe more money will finally silence the chaos. But money without intention is just noise. The shift happens when you stop chasing emotions through spending and start using money as a support system for what really matters. But how do you define enough in a world that constantly tells you more is better? Money can't buy happiness, but it can buy the freedom to pursue what makes you whole. So how do your money decisions today shape your regrets tomorrow? Cheat code number 54. Wait, then regret ratio. We know what compound interest is. It grows quietly, invisibly over time. But regret works the same way. The cost of not deciding, not starting, not saving, it multiplies silently. Every time you say, "I will do it later," you borrow against your future. Not just financially, but emotionally. The problem isn't the delay, it's the story you tell yourself during it. I will start next month. I will invest when I have more. But time isn't neutral. It's moving whether you act or not. The small decision you avoid today could become the big burden you carry tomorrow. But here's the good news. Compound growth works both ways. And starting small still counts. But how do you take action when fear or perfectionism keeps hitting pause? Waiting to act doesn't just cost you time, it quietly builds regret. So, what's actually worth investing in, even when the payoff feels far away? Cheat code number 55. Legacy investments. Some investments bring quick returns. Others bring legacy. And the most meaningful ones? They often go unnoticed in the short term. Investing in things that outlast you, skills, knowledge, relationships, impact, requires vision. But most people get caught chasing things that depreciate the second they swipe. What if you shifted your definition of ROI? What if your best investment wasn't a stock or a shiny object, but something quieter, like building a life that echoes after you're gone? This isn't about money alone. It's about time, energy, and presence. The question becomes, are you buying moments or planting meaning? Because one of those fades, the other grows. So, how do you begin identifying the places where your time and money will matter the most? The best investments aren't always urgent, but they're always meaningful. But when the world tells you to hustle for more, what's the cost of enough? Cheat code number 56. Wealth equals peace. We often equate wealth with flashy cars, designer clothes, or exotic vacations. But what if the richest people are actually the ones who don't feel the need to show off? True wealth isn't about what others see, it's about how calm and secure you feel inside. Imagine waking up without the stress of bills piling up or the anxiety of not knowing if you can handle an unexpected expense. That quiet confidence, that peace of mind, is real wealth. It's invisible but powerful. So why do we chase visible status instead of this inner freedom? Because society celebrates image, but peace compounds quietly in moments like not panicking when your car breaks down or not losing sleep over money. Real wealth lets you breathe easy. And once you grasp this, you will want to know, how do you build that peace deliberately? Wealth is measured by your calm, not your possessions. How do you plan for freedom instead of just hoping it happens? Cheat code number 57. Budget time travel. When most people hear budget, they think about limits, rules, and cutting back on fun. But what if budgeting isn't about restriction? Think of it as a way to give your future self more freedom. Every dollar you don't waste today becomes a choice tomorrow. Maybe a trip, a career change, or financial safety. The tricky part is staying consistent with budgeting because it often feels like punishment. The secret shift is realizing a budget is not, "I can't afford this," but "I choose to save this for something better." It's a tool to align your spending with what truly matters to you. Instead of focusing on what you're giving up, focus on the options you're creating. Budgeting doesn't take away. It builds a safety net that you control. Budgeting is self-respect that buys you freedom. If budgeting buys options, what's the smartest way to invest next? Cheat code number 58. Wisdom upgrade. Getting a raise feels amazing, and it's tempting to spend on nicer things, better car, apartment, clothes. But upgrading your lifestyle often traps you in a cycle called lifestyle creep. As your income grows, your expenses do too, leaving you with no more freedom than before. So how do you resist this urge? The answer lies in upgrading your wisdom first. Instead of spending on things that lose value, invest in your knowledge and skills. Taking a course, hiring a coach, or reading a great book creates compounding returns that pay off over time. While lifestyle upgrades offer quick pleasure, wisdom upgrades pay dividends forever. When you focus on growing your mind and decision-making, money works for you rather than the other way around. The best upgrade is your wisdom, not your stuff. What happens if you keep chasing upgrades without ever feeling satisfied? Cheat code number 59. Lifestyle trap loop. You might think that finally getting that new gadget or bigger apartment will bring satisfaction. But then the next thing shows up, a newer model, a better place, a higher status, and suddenly you're chasing again. This endless cycle is lifestyle inflation, and it's sneaky because it feels like progress but really keeps you running in place. Why is it so hard to stop? Because the more you earn, the more you want to spend, and the expectations rise too. Escaping this trap means learning what enough looks like for you. Joy doesn't come from having more stuff, but from feeling content with what you have. Living below your means isn't deprivation. It's creating freedom to choose, even when life throws curveballs. Raising your cost of living lowers your freedom. When money runs low, what does it really reveal about your character? Cheat code number 60. Money reveals character. Not having it tests it. Money can show who you really are because it forces choices that reveal your values and patience. When you have plenty, it's easier to be generous, calm, or wise. But when money runs short, that's when your character truly gets tested. Do you panic? Blame others? Or do you get creative, patient, and humble? Money doesn't create your character, it exposes it. And here's the catch. Not having money can be an opportunity to grow your inner strength and learn what matters most. Facing financial hardship doesn't mean you have failed, it means you're being tested. And when you come out the other side, you often emerge stronger and clearer about your priorities. Money exposes your true self, and scarcity tests your growth. But what if success isn't about money, or even goals? What else could it be? Maybe you're not lost. Maybe you're just listening to someone else's map. Welcome to Chapter 7, Purpose plus Existential Perspectives. Have you ever felt like you're spinning your wheels, working hard but still unsure where you're really headed? Maybe you think you're lost, but what if that feeling isn't about being off course? What if you're simply following someone else's map? In a world obsessed with success, goals, and hustle, it's easy to forget one simple truth. Your purpose isn't handed to you on a silver platter. It's something you discover by peeling back layers of expectations, comparison, and noise. This chapter isn't about finding a one-size-fits-all answer. It's about opening the door to curiosity, embracing uncertainty, and redefining what meaning really looks like for you. Because when you stop chasing someone else's story, you start living your own. So, what if the key to feeling grounded isn't a grand plan, but a shift in perspective? Purpose begins when you stop looking for certainty and start asking better questions. How do you begin rewriting your map when everything you have been told feels like a dead end? Cheat code number 61. 5-minute clarity. Most people think success comes from a long, rigid plan. But here's a surprising truth. You don't actually need a 5-year plan. What you really need is just 5 minutes of clarity, enough to ask the right questions and get honest with yourself. Imagine if, instead of stressing over distant futures, you focused on pinpointing what matters most right now. This small pause can reset your direction better than any lengthy blueprint. But because clarity simplifies choices, cuts through noise, and fuels immediate action. But here's the twist. How do you get this clarity without overthinking or second-guessing? The answer isn't found in more planning. It's in understanding how your own mind creates confusion. When you grasp this, you will realize planning less can actually bring more control and calm. Clarity beats complexity. A few focused minutes can change everything. What if forgetting isn't failure but freedom itself? Cheat code number 62. Forget to be free. We cling to memories and worries as if they define us, but here's a secret. Almost everything will be forgotten. This might sound harsh, but it's actually a powerful kind of freedom. When you realize that the stress, failures, and even triumphs fade with time, you stop giving them too much power. It means the pressure to get it right is less heavy, and you can start focusing on what truly lasts, your present experience and the meaning you create. This forgetting isn't loss, it's a clean slate. But here's a question to sit with. If so much fades, what really matters? And how do you decide what's worth remembering? The answers will shift how you approach your daily life and your biggest choices. Forgetting clears space for what really counts. Cheat code number 63. Be real, not understood. What if you're not here to be understood, but to be real? Most of us crave to be understood, to have people get us perfectly. But what if that desire is a trap? What if your true purpose isn't about gaining approval or fitting a mold, but about being unapologetically real? When you drop the need to explain or justify yourself, you unlock a deeper kind of freedom. Being real means embracing your flaws, contradictions, and quirks openly. It's messy, yes, but it's authentic. This shift changes how you relate to others and yourself. But how do you start living this authenticity in a world that rewards conformity? The answer lies in quiet moments of self-acceptance and bold acts of honesty. The impact? You become magnetic, not because you fit in, but because you stand out. Authenticity beats approval. Real connection starts with realness. But why is curiosity more important than certainty? Cheat code number 64. Curiosity compass. We all want answers, certainty that our choices and paths are right. But here's a surprising fact. Life isn't designed for certainty. It's designed for curiosity. Curiosity invites you to explore, question, and discover, even when the way forward is unclear. When you shift from demanding certainty to embracing curiosity, fear loses its grip. This mindset fuels creativity and resilience because it welcomes mistakes as part of the journey. But how do you cultivate curiosity when doubt feels overwhelming? It starts with small steps, asking open-ended questions instead of shutting down. That's where real growth begins, in the space between not knowing and daring to explore. Curiosity unlocks growth. Certainty limits it. How does comparison quietly steal your joy? And how do you stop it? Cheat code number 65. Comparison assassin. Comparison is a sneaky thief. It steals your peace and dims your joy without you even realizing. When you constantly measure yourself against others, you focus on what's missing rather than what's present. This endless cycle can leave you drained and discouraged. But what if the antidote was simpler than you think? Gratitude, focusing on what you already have, shifts your attention from lack to abundance. It rewires your brain to notice blessings, big and small. However, gratitude isn't about ignoring challenges or faking positivity. It's about honest appreciation that grounds you. The question is, how do you practice gratitude when comparison feels like second nature? That's where mindful habits come in, breaking the autopilot of envy and replacing it with awareness. Gratitude reclaims your joy by ending comparison's theft. What does your true self look like when no one is watching? Cheat code number 66: Invisible You. The version of yourself you show to the world isn't the whole story. The real you, the one behind closed doors, without audience or applause, holds the key to your life's meaning. Because consistency in private moments builds integrity and trust with yourself. If you act differently when alone, it's a sign that your external self is performative. But here's a powerful thought. Aligning your inner and outer self creates a life of harmony and peace. This isn't about perfection, it's about honesty. How do you nurture this true self? It starts with small acts, noticing your private habits, thoughts, and feelings without judgment. When you do, you will discover a foundation stronger than any external validation. True power comes from who you are in solitude. Why you're not a brand, you're a being. Cheat code number 67: Not a brand, a being. In a world obsessed with personal branding and online personas, it's easy to forget something vital. You're not a brand. You're a being, a complex, evolving human with depth beyond likes and labels. Treating yourself like a brand reduces you to an image, stripping away authenticity and vulnerability. But embracing your full humanity, your fears, joys, and contradictions, opens the door to genuine connection and fulfillment. The challenge is resisting the pressure to package yourself neatly. How do you step off the marketing stage and back into your true self? It begins with compassion and curiosity for your inner world. And when you do, your life shifts from performance to presence. Being real beats branding every time. What if life isn't a test but a playground? Cheat code number 68: Life Playground. Many of us live as if life is a test we must pass, constantly judged, evaluated, and measured. But what if that's the wrong lens? What if life is actually a playground, a place for curiosity, play, and exploration? This perspective frees you from fear of failure and perfectionism. Instead of striving for approval, you start experimenting and learning joyfully. But adopting this mindset isn't about irresponsibility, it's about releasing pressure to be right all the time. How can you start playing more and stressing less? It begins with small choices, allowing yourself to try new things without self-criticism. The more you lean into play, the more creative and resilient you become. Playfulness invites growth. Pressure invites stagnation. Why asking "what now" beats "why me?" Cheat code number 69: What now? Power. When life throws challenges your way, the natural response is often, "Why me?" But that question traps you in helplessness and blame. Instead, asking "what now?" flips the script. It puts you in the driver's seat, focusing on action and solutions rather than victimhood. This shift isn't about denying pain or frustration. It's about moving forward with intention. But here's the catch. How do you get out of the "why me" loop when emotions run high? It starts with small mental habits that redirect your focus to possibilities instead of problems. This simple question can be a game changer in resilience and growth. What now empowers you? Why me disempowers you? What if you could start over anytime you wanted? Cheat code number 70: Daily Restart. Many people carry the weight of past mistakes, missed chances, and wrong decisions as if they define them forever. But what if the biggest freedom was realizing you can start over every day? This isn't about erasing the past, but about choosing to reset your story whenever you want. Starting over means giving yourself permission to change direction, heal, or try something new without guilt or shame. The catch is how deeply this freedom is embraced. Most of us get stuck believing we're trapped by history. But when you truly internalize that every day is a fresh page, life becomes a playground of endless possibilities. Renewal is your right, not a rare gift. What if your health and habits aren't about willpower but about understanding your body's hidden language? Chapter 8: Health, Habits and Hormones. We often think getting healthy means pushing harder, more workouts, stricter diets, tougher discipline. But what if the secret is actually listening to your body's signals and working with, not against, your biology? This chapter explores how tiny shifts in habits, sleep, movement, and nutrition can transform your energy, mood, and mindset. It's less about motivation and more about tuning in. Because health isn't a goal, it's the foundation for everything you want to live and become. Ready to decode your body's hidden language and unlock lasting change? Cheat code number 71. The Sleep Fix. Ever blamed your personality quirks on who you are? What if most of those quirks are actually sleep problems in disguise? Lack of quality sleep can mess with your mood, focus, patience, and even how you react to stress. Imagine waking up refreshed, your irritability and anxiety fading because your brain got the rest it craved. Sleep isn't just rest, it's a reset button for your entire being. But why do so many of us ignore this simple fix? The truth is, poor sleep makes everything harder, and it can look like a personality flaw rather than a health issue. So, how can you start fixing sleep to feel like your best self again? Sleep isn't a luxury, it's the foundation of who you are. And when sleep changes your brain, what's next in your daily routine that affects your mood? Cheat code number 72. Hydration mood shift. Think hydration is just about quenching thirst? Think again. Your brain is about 75% water, and even mild dehydration can throw off your mood, concentration, and energy. It's easy to overlook drinking water, but your mental state often hinges on this simple habit. When you're dehydrated, your brain shrinks slightly, affecting memory and emotional control. That afternoon fog? It might just be your brain waving a red flag. But hydration isn't just about chugging water. It's about timing, balance, and habits. So, what's the secret to turning hydration into a mood booster, not just a physical need? Drinking water fuels more than your body. It fuels your feelings. If hydration shapes your mood, what happens when your morning routine starts without coffee? Cheat code number 73. Coffee walk wake up. Many rush for coffee the moment they wake up. But here's a twist. A short morning walk before coffee can awaken your brain in a more natural, lasting way. Movement gets blood flowing, kickstarts your circadian rhythm, and helps clear sleep inertia, those groggy moments right after waking. Walking outdoors also triggers mental clarity and boosts mood. Coffee feels like a shortcut, but it's often a band-aid for sluggishness. What if you flip the order? What if your body craves movement more than caffeine to truly wake up? The real challenge is creating a morning ritual that feels energizing without depending on a jolt of caffeine. So how do you design mornings that set you up for sustained focus and calm? Movement beats caffeine when it comes to waking up your brain. Speaking of circadian rhythms, how does morning sun help you reset your body clock naturally? Cheat code number 74. The circadian reset. Sunlight first thing in the morning isn't just beautiful, it's essential. It signals to your brain that it's time to wake up, syncing your internal clock to the day's rhythm. This natural light helps regulate hormones like melatonin, which controls sleep cycles, and cortisol, which helps you feel alert. Skipping morning sun can throw off this balance, leading to grogginess, mood dips, and sleep troubles. But catching sunlight isn't about spending hours outside. It's about timing and consistency. So how long should you soak up that morning light? And what are simple ways to make this a daily habit that your brain craves? Morning sun is nature's way of telling your body, it's go time. If light affects your mood, how deeply does your gut health influence how you feel? Cheat code number 75. Gut mood link. Your gut isn't just for digestion, it's a second brain influencing your emotions. This gut-brain connection means that when your gut struggles, whether from inflammation, imbalance, or poor diet, your mood often takes a hit. Anxiety, depression, brain fog. These can all be traced back to gut health. It's no coincidence that the gut produces most of your body's serotonin, a key mood regulator. The question is, how do you care for your gut in ways that genuinely shift your mood? It's not just about probiotics or fiber, it's about a lifestyle and diet that honors your entire system. But where do you start when your gut and mind feel tangled? A happy gut often means a happier mind. When your mind is overwhelmed, is overthinking the real problem? Or is there a simpler solution? Cheat code number 76. Breath break. Ever find your mind spiraling, stuck in endless loops of worry and what-ifs? Overthinking is exhausting and often makes problems feel bigger than they are. But here's a surprisingly simple fix: deeper breathing. When you breathe deeply, it signals your nervous system to calm down, reduces stress hormones, and brings focus back to the present moment. Breathing isn't just about oxygen. It's a tool to manage your mental state anytime, anywhere. The trick is knowing how to breathe in a way that actually shifts your mindset instead of just going through the motions. So how do you use your breath to break the cycle of overthinking and reclaim calm? Calm isn't found by thinking more, it's found by breathing better. And when calm is elusive, what role does movement play in shifting your mental state? Cheat code number 77. Move to mindset. When stress or anxiety takes over, your body often feels tense, stuck, or restless. Movement isn't just exercise, it's medicine for your mind. Simple actions like stretching, shaking out your limbs, or walking can interrupt negative thought patterns and release built-up tension. Movement tells your brain you're safe, helping reset your nervous system. But it doesn't have to be intense. Sometimes, gentle movement is the fastest way to shift how you feel. So what kinds of movement work best when your mind is racing? And how can you make this a go-to tool, not an afterthought? Moving your body can move your mind out of stress. If daily movement helps mood, what's more powerful, sporadic workouts or consistent walks? Cheat code number 78. Consistency beats intensity. We often think intense workouts are the gold standard for health, but consistency beats intensity every time. Taking regular, moderate walks supports steady energy, reduces stress, and helps your brain stay sharp. Unlike sporadic workouts that may leave you exhausted or sore, a daily walk becomes a sustainable habit, one that nudges your body and mind toward balance. Walking outdoors adds fresh air and sunlight, boosting mood and circadian rhythms. So why is this simple habit often overlooked? And how can you make daily walking your secret weapon for long-term wellness? Small, steady steps create lasting change better than bursts of effort. And if consistent walks are key, why should you protect your sleep like it's sacred? Cheat code number 79. Sacred sleep. Sleep isn't optional, it's sacred restoration. But in our busy world, sleep often takes the hit first. Phones, screens, stress, late nights. They chip away at the quality and quantity of rest. Protecting sleep means creating rituals and boundaries. No screens before bed, consistent sleep times, and a calm environment. When you treat sleep as non-negotiable, everything improves: mood, energy, focus, and yes, even your relationships. But many struggle because they don't realize sleep hygiene is a practice, not a one-time fix. How do you build habits that guard your sleep against daily distractions? Treat your sleep like a treasure. It fuels your entire life. And if your body is a temple, what you feed it shapes your mind more than you think. Cheat code number 80. Feed mind and body. The food you eat is more than fuel. It shapes your mental clarity, mood, and energy. Sugary, processed foods can cause mood swings and brain fog, while nutrient-rich meals support focus, calm, and resilience. Your gut-brain connection means what you feed your body literally feeds your mind's chemistry. But shifting your diet doesn't require perfection. Small changes, adding veggies, healthy fats, and hydration can make a big difference. The question is, how do you develop a food routine that supports your mental health without feeling overwhelming or restrictive? Mind and body thrive on nourishing food, not empty calories. In Chapter 9, we will dive deep into how designing your space and habits can become your ultimate secret weapon for mental clarity and peace. Chapter 9. Environment plus Digital Detox. Your environment is a silent force shaping everything you do, from your mood and energy to your habits and decisions. But most people don't realize how much their surroundings influence their well-being. What if you could tweak your environment to effortlessly boost focus, calm, and creativity? And what role does a digital detox play in reclaiming control over your attention? Cheat code #81.phone. Tool or your boss? Your phone can either be a powerful tool or a leash dragging you around. Imagine having this device in your pocket, designed to connect, inform, and empower, but often it feels like it controls you instead. The choice you make here shapes how you experience your day, your focus, and even your peace of mind. What if you stopped reacting automatically and started using your phone deliberately? You'd unlock hours of reclaimed attention and reduce mental clutter. But here's the catch. How do you shift from being controlled to being in control when the phone's notifications and apps are engineered to grab your attention? The key isn't about quitting your phone. It's about redesigning your relationship with it, turning it from a leash back into a tool you wield consciously. Your phone's power depends on your choice. Why charging your phone outside the bedroom changes everything. Cheat code number 82. Charge your phone outside the bedroom. Most people keep their phones by their bedside, but what if that habit is quietly stealing your sleep and focus? Charging your phone outside the bedroom might sound inconvenient, but it's a small change with outsized benefits. Without the buzz, glow, and temptation of endless scrolling before bed and first thing in the morning, your mind can truly rest. This habit helps your brain disconnect from constant input and reconnect with calm. But why does this simple act create such a big shift in how you start and end your day? It all boils down to how your brain's attention system works. When the phone is out of reach, you regain control of your focus and reduce stress triggers. Physical distance from your phone restores mental space. How clutter in your space clutters your mind. Cheat code number 83. Clutter equals mental static. Have you ever noticed how a messy room makes it harder to think? That's because clutter isn't just physical, it creates mental static. Your brain is wired to look for order and patterns, and when your environment is chaotic, it overloads your attention, making it harder to concentrate or relax. Clearing clutter doesn't just tidy your space, it calms your mind. But here's what many don't realize. Clutter isn't just about mess. It's about the mental energy tied to unfinished tasks and distractions lurking in plain sight. How you handle clutter reflects how you handle your thoughts and emotions. When you reduce external chaos, you give your brain room to breathe and focus. Decluttering clears mental noise for sharper focus. Why a tidy space rewires your brain for productivity. Cheat code number 84. Tidy space equals focused brain. There's a direct link between your environment and your mental state. When your space is tidy, your brain relaxes and focuses easier. Disorder demands constant attention. It's a low-level stress that drains your mental resources without you noticing. On the other hand, a neat environment sends a silent signal that everything is in order, making it easier for your mind to prioritize and create. But this doesn't mean perfection. It's about intentional simplicity. How does this work inside your brain? Tidiness reduces the cognitive load so you can save mental energy for what matters most. The surprising payoff? You become more productive, creative, and less overwhelmed just by organizing your surroundings. Organized space supports a calm, focused mind. Why notifications are actually someone else's agenda. Cheat code number 85. Notifications are someone else's agenda. Each ping, buzz, or pop-up isn't neutral. They're interruptions designed to pull you into someone else's priorities. Notifications hijack your focus and fragment your attention, making deep work nearly impossible. The moment you check one, your brain shifts gears, often losing up to 25 minutes just to regain flow. But here's the tricky part. Most of these alerts aren't urgent or important to you. They serve apps, advertisers, and other people's schedules. How do you reclaim your attention from this constant assault? The answer is to take control of your notifications, not let them control you. When you do, you stop living by others' demands and start living by your own. Control notifications, control your day. How to curate a digital diet that nourishes, not drains. Cheat code number 86. Curate your digital diet. Just like food, your digital intake shapes your mental health and energy. Scrolling endlessly on random feeds or doom scrolling the news feeds your brain junk, creating fatigue and distraction. Curating your digital diet means consciously choosing what content, people, and apps enter your attention and which don't. It's about quality over quantity, just like real nutrition. But how do you decide what digital food is good for your mind? The key lies in awareness and intention. Noticing how different content makes you feel and how it influences your thoughts and actions. This habit shifts you from passive consumer to mindful curator, fueling focus, positivity, and growth. Digital choices shape your mental energy. Why unfollowing might be the most peaceful act you do today. Cheat code number 87. Unfollow to protect peace. Unfollowing someone online might feel harsh, but sometimes it's the kindest thing you can do for your mental peace. Social media connections can drain energy, spark unnecessary comparison, or flood your mind with noise. By consciously unfollowing accounts that don't add value or bring negativity, you create space for calm and clarity. It's not about judgment, it's about protecting your well-being. But how do you decide who to keep and who to let go without guilt? The secret is to focus on what nurtures your growth and happiness, not on obligation or social pressure. When you unfollow wisely, your feed becomes a sanctuary, not a battlefield. Protect your peace by curating your social circle. Why? Off is more than just a switch, it's a mindset. Cheat code number 88. Off is a setting too. Turning something off isn't just about power, it's about reclaiming control over your time and energy. Whether it's your phone, computer, or even your mind, giving yourself permission to unplug is crucial for focus, creativity, and rest. But in our always-on culture, switching off feels impossible or even wrong. The incomplete loop here. Why does something so simple feel so hard? The answer lies in how deeply connected we have become to digital noise and external validation. Yet, when you embrace off as a setting and a boundary, you protect your inner calm and recharge your brain's capacity to engage fully when it's time. Embrace off to recharge and refocus. How to turn your home into a sanctuary, not a storage unit. Cheat code number 89. Make your home a sanctuary, not a storage unit. Your home should be a place of rest and renewal, not just a cluttered storage space filled with stuff. When your living environment is overloaded with things, your brain senses chaos, making it harder to relax or focus. Transforming your home into a sanctuary means intentionally creating spaces that promote calm and peace. This might mean letting go of unnecessary items and designing your space to support your mental well-being. But here's the interesting question. How does your physical environment shape your emotional environment? The payoff: a thoughtfully arranged home reduces stress, boosts mood, and supports habits that uplift you daily. A peaceful home fuels a peaceful mind. Next up, why silence is productivity's best friend. Cheat code number 90. Silence is productivity's best friend. In a noisy world, silence might seem rare or uncomfortable, but it's actually productivity's best friend. Silence lets your brain focus deeply without constant interruptions. It's in quiet moments that ideas spark and problems untangle. But why do we avoid silence, preferring background noise or distractions? The answer lies in discomfort with stillness and facing inner thoughts. Yet, when you create pockets of silence, your brain replenishes its energy and sharpens its focus. Silence isn't emptiness. It's a powerful workspace where creativity and clarity thrive. Silence nurtures deep focus and creative flow. How changing your environment transforms your habits. You will learn how to upgrade your thinking, see beyond old patterns, and access powerful bonus codes for life. Ready to shift your perspective and rewrite your story from the inside out? Chapter 10. Meta Mindsets and Bonus Codes. Every mindset is a lens. Change the lens, change the life. In this chapter, we dive into the invisible settings in your mind that shape how you see and react to everything: your habits, your challenges, your success. These meta mindsets aren't tricks, they're foundational shifts that unlock new possibilities. Cheat code number 91. You are not your thoughts. Sometimes your mind says things that sound like the truth, but they're not. You have probably had a random, unkind, or anxious thought pop in and wondered, why am I like this? Here's the truth: you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them. Thoughts are just passing clouds, some light, some stormy, but none of them define the sky they float through. So, how do you stop letting every thought dictate your worth or direction? That's where most people get stuck. They try to control the thoughts instead of detaching from them. But once you learn how to observe rather than identify with them, everything changes. You shift from being dragged around by your mind to finally driving it. Your thoughts are suggestions, not commands. Why curiosity, not control, is your real superpower. Cheat code number 92. Curiosity beats control. When life feels uncertain, our first instinct is to control. Lock things down, plan ahead, grip tighter. But here's the twist. The more we try to control, the more anxious we feel. Because control is an illusion, and our brains know it. Now contrast that with curiosity, open, flexible, adaptive. Curiosity says, let's see what happens. And in that mindset, tension drops and creativity flows. But how does curiosity actually lead to more clarity than control ever could? It works by changing how your brain processes stress. Instead of reacting from fear, it leans into learning. And that subtle shift? It makes all the difference. Curiosity turns pressure into possibility. How the phrase, "I don't know," unlocks real strength. Cheat code number 93. I don't know is powerful. In a world that rewards quick answers and overconfidence, saying, "I don't know," can feel risky, even weak. But here's the plot twist. It's one of the most powerful things you can say. When you admit uncertainty, your brain actually opens up. It switches from defense to discovery mode. Most people fear not knowing because they think it makes them look lost. But in truth, it makes you teachable. So how do you turn "I don't know" into forward motion instead of a dead end? That's the trick. Once you say it, you unlock better questions. And better questions build better lives. Owning what you don't know is how you grow. Why most problems are more figure-outable than they appear. Cheat code number 94. Most things are figure-outable. There's a moment between panic and solution, and in that gap, most people give up. But here's what the mentally resilient know. Most things, with time, grit, and help, are figure-outable. The trick isn't to have all the answers up front. It's believing there's always a way to find them. So why do so many people stop at "I can't"? Because they confuse difficulty with impossibility. The brain doesn't need certainty, it needs direction. Once you believe something can be figured out, your brain starts scanning for options instead of obstacles. And that quiet shift? That's how mountains get moved. Belief in solutions unlocks your brain's full capacity. Why rest might be the most productive thing you do today. Cheat code number 95. Rest is productive. Rest isn't a reward for hard work, it's part of the work. Your brain needs downtime to recover, integrate ideas, and reset. Yet, we glorify hustle and treat rest like laziness. But what if rest actually fuels your best ideas and deepest breakthroughs? It's not just about sleep. It's about allowing stillness so your nervous system can breathe. Here's the unexpected part. Many of the most successful, creative minds schedule their rest like a priority task. Because they have learned what many overlook, burnout doesn't happen from doing too much. It happens from never stopping. Rest isn't the pause, it's part of your power. What does being unoffendable have to do with inner peace? Cheat code number 96. Be unoffendable. Imagine this. Someone says something rude, off mark, or totally wrong about you, and you don't take the bait. That's being unoffendable. It's not passive, it's powerful. Because when you stop handing over your peace to every careless comment, you free yourself. But how do you stop reacting when you feel disrespected? That's the edge most never cross. Being unoffendable doesn't mean ignoring truth. It means choosing not to internalize noise. You stay grounded, not rattled. You pause instead of pounce. And in that space between stimulus and response, you take back your power. Peace begins where offense ends. Why staying soft might be your greatest strength. Cheat code number 97. Stay soft. It's harder than it looks. The world often rewards the loud, the guarded, the tough. So staying soft, open-hearted, gentle, kind, can feel like swimming upstream. But softness is not weakness. It's courage in disguise. To stay soft in a hard world means you have chosen presence over protection, empathy over ego. But how do you stay soft without being walked over? That's the paradox. Softness isn't about letting others win, it's about refusing to harden. When you stay soft, you stay in touch with what matters most. You listen better, love deeper, led differently. Softness is strength that doesn't shout. Why you should listen to your quiet soul, not your loud ego. Cheat code number 98. Don't trust a loud ego over a quiet soul. Ego loves noise. It demands credit, control, and constant validation. But your soul? It whispers. And yet, it always knows. In moments of tension or indecision, ego gets loud. It shouts what looks good. But the soul, grounded and still, knows what feels right. So how do you tell the difference? That's where most people get trapped, thinking volume equals truth. But ego pushes, soul pulls. Ego reacts, soul responds. And when you start tuning into the quieter voice, the one without drama, life starts aligning from the inside out. Your soul whispers what your ego tries to shout over. Why less noise always leads to more signal. Cheat code number 99. Less noise equals more signal. We're drowning in information but starving for clarity. More podcasts, more posts, more pings, but less real insight. Here's the secret. When you cut the noise, you don't lose anything, you gain the signal. The useful ideas, the felt truths, the actual wisdom. Noise distracts, signal directs. But how do you filter for it? Start by noticing how things make you feel. Do they energize you or deplete you? Do they guide you inward or pull you outward? Because once you start listening to less, the right things start standing out more. Clarity comes not from more, but from less. What happens when your mind finally gets quiet? Cheat code number 100. A quiet mind is a superpower. In a world addicted to speed, noise, and doing, the person with a quiet mind holds the real power. Because when your mind is calm, you hear yourself. You see clearly. You act from intention, not impulse. But a quiet mind isn't something you find, it's something you build. Through breath, through space, through letting go. The more you practice stillness, the less reactive you become. And from that place, you make better decisions. You feel deeper peace. You stop chasing and start choosing. A quiet mind sees what chaos hides. Final payoff. These aren't just cheat codes. They're truth triggers, designed to help you play life with clarity, strength, and joy.